What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us again. Another Wednesday, another MLB slate breakdown with Money Badger Jake using, of course, the fantastic @props.cash. Before we get in, just want to say if you guys are interested in doing any of your own player prop research on your own, props.cash is an amazing place to start. And if you use promo code BetSmart, you get 30% off your first month using props.cash. Jake, quick little intro because we have games starting in the first game starting actually in 8 minutes. I have a play there, so I want to talk about that quickly. Then we'll break down as much of the board as we can in this hour. Jake, how you doing, brother?
Good. What's up, Eric? Another Wednesday. Looking forward to it as always.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so let's get into this quick because I want to give you guys this play. This is one of my plays for today. I got this at -105. We'll do some research. It's actually not a prop, though, of course, we're going to be using props.cash to get as many props going as possible. But the first play I have going right to game number – where's the game? Oh, I'm blind. Not Miami, Minnesota. Where are we?
Come on, Eric. Wrong guy.
Yes, some time here. It's a 7-10. I'm clicking the wrong buttons here. It is a 7-10, so we are all good. Give me 1 sec here off camera. Why are we logging out? We got to log back in.
Don't tell me it's the Blue Jays money line, Eric. Come on. Don't start here.
No Blue Jays today. Nothing crazy. It is a nerfy bet, but actually I got my timings messed up, so we're actually good on time here. Perfect. We'll get the screen going right back.
It's a 6:40 game though, Eric. I will say that. We got plenty of time, but.
Gotcha. Okay, no, I have time here as well. So enough of my rambling. As you can see here, it is Cleveland, Chicago. We have some time there, so I will give us a second. But Jake, we have a 6:40 game. Let me pull up the odds screen on the left side here because actually I do have a play. I have a game too. San Diego Philly game 2. We have Christopher Sanchez going against Dylan Cease. Now, Dylan Cease has been, he had his 8Ks in his last outing. I think that was a stream on Friday where Kyle and I were talking about that. I was on the strikeouts, and even in a crappy start, he did go over that number here. But Cease's struggles has been against left-handed bats in his, really throughout his career. And yes, the Phillies have a strong left-handed lineup. Of course, Schwarber, you have Harper back. But now that this is the second game of a doubleheader, we saw the Padres take advantage of that first game. I got the first 5 total at this one at under 4.5, -120. Unfortunately, that number is long gone. I'm seeing 3.5 on the market, so sorry for the past post there. But if you do see a live line pop up in this one, I took the first 5 under in game 2 of San Diego Philly. Jake, do you have any thoughts, comments, concerns on that before hopefully people in chat get that locked in somewhere?
I do not. The second game of these double headers, I didn't even look at because when I was doing my research, game 1 was still on, so didn't really look much into any of these double header games.
Gotcha. So there's more than enough non-double hitter action we can talk about, and of course we will. So let's dive into some more. That was
another thing. There were so many other games that didn't have double headers. I was like, all right, I'm not going to really waste my time on this. I'd rather find some good spots in the single header games.
Absolutely. So let's talk about one of these single header games coming right up. We have, of course, the Padres Phillies at 6:15. So you got 10 minutes there. I'm on the first 5 under. But we have Minnesota, Miami. Minnesota took the L yesterday. Edward Cabrera with an absolute deal job. You have Woods Richardson going for Minnesota, Jansen Junk for Miami. Jake, these are 2 guys who are not too well-known pitchers. I know, generally speaking, you like to stay away from guys without a ton of data, but you actually do have something that you like here. So talk to me about your handicap on this one.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on Miami first 5. I think I've been on a Miami first 5 play every single stream that we've had each one of these Wednesdays. But I'm back on Miami first 5 on the money line. And Jansen Junk actually does have some data. He's like the reliever turn starter type of pitcher. But Woods Richardson, really, he's bad on the road and he's very bad at night, where he allows a 337 batting average when pitching at night. And these Miami bats, they've just been consistently good. I feel like there's this facade that it's Miami. They probably stink. But here's Miami's batting average numbers over the last 7, 15, 30 days and on the entire season. They're 9th in batting average in the last 7 days, 10th in the last 15 days, 5th in the last 30 days, and they're 9th on the entire season. So we're talking about a Miami team that has top 10, technically top 9 bats on the entire year. So that's not just like a small sample size. And they've consistently been there. They went through one little lull like 2 months ago where you're like, all right, Miami's bats are going to suck again this season. Like the luck is worn out. But they're kind of pulling it together. The only spot Jansen Junk has been really good at is at home, where he's pitching tonight and he only allows a 191 opponent batting average. His night splits aren't that great. He's allowing a 307 batting average. So I don't just like turn my head when I see these numbers. I take them and I take them into consideration. But he's seeing a Minnesota lineup that is 25th in batting average in the last 15 days and 29th in the last week. So the second worst bats when referring to batting average in the last 7 days. I think that he can have a decent enough day, and I think the Miami bats can get to Woods Richardson to the point where they take the first 5. I don't even want to deal with the bullpens. Miami has some bullpen issues, and they also have the availability is not all there, so I don't want to risk it regardless of how bad the Minnesota bats are. So I'm going to stick to the first 5, and I like the Miami first 5 on the money line. Plus at a short price too, -105. Technically, they're like the slight underdog here. Couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, so Miami, of course, on an epic winning streak. And I like how you're looking at recent form here because we're pulling up right now the lineup for the Twins. Of course, you got Buxton who's cooking, but then you got Brooks Lee. I'm not going to buy into a small sample size of Brooks Lee. Correa heating up is fine, but then look at Willie Castro in the 3-hole bat in 214, Wallner 143.
Bottom of that lineup's abysmal.
Abysmal.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned there, with on the flip side, we look at Miami in the last 15 games, and you outlined those stats. But again, like it's great to see that in the aggregate and like know those numbers, but then you use props.cash and you see it right in front of your face. You filter by the last 15. Xavier Edwards is heating up. Otto Lopez is hot. Augustin Ramirez, the rookie catcher, is heating up. Kyle Stowers, that big addition from that Baltimore trade last year, he's heating up. Even Eric Wagaman, a guy I love to like talk crap about just because like he's so bad, but like he's hitting the ball well now, so it's nice for him.
It's a long season,
Long season, and Miami is as hot as they come. Woods Richardson, somebody, Jake, that I debated streaming for fantasy this week, just like picking him up and playing. I actually put a waiver and didn't get him because I did think this could be a nice matchup here. So are you like, listen, it's clear that you're in on Miami because, like you mentioned, they're clearly hot. Joe Ryan only had 4 Ks there. We could look at some historicals and righties. Like Fott got to them in terms of Ks, though. They hit him hard. Merrill Kelly, of course, good pitcher. They didn't let Birdsong strike him out. Webb wasn't great with the Ks this year. Didn't let him strike him out. Do you have any like outside of like the recent form? Because I think Richardson is like a solid pitcher. Anything else kind of like tipping the scale for you? Outside of, again, the cold, like just the hot cold splits between these two offenses right now.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to turn my head. Woods Richardson's been pitching well. He just had a great June. I think he only allowed like a 1-something OBA. But I mean, these Minnesota bats have just been not good. Like they just haven't been good. I can't back them. And I'm going to take the hot bats against even if a pitcher is doing somewhat well in the last month. And he saw some good bats. He saw Seattle, Milwaukee, Houston, but then Texas rang him up for 8 hits and 6 earned runs. Milwaukee pitched against, but he also gave up 3 earned there. So he actually had a decent June, but I can't for example, if Miami was -140 on the money line, I'm not touching it. At a short -105 price, I think it's definitely worth taking the hotter bats over a pitcher that has shown signs of being able to get hit up pretty well. And at the same time, he's going to have in my eyes, he's not going to have much offense backing him up. So that's how I looked at it. But yeah, I mean, I can't throw too much shade on Woods Richardson. He's been pitching well. He's seen some good bats. Seattle, he just shut out Seattle, 5 innings, 0 earned, only 2 hits. Can he do that again though? I don't know. He hasn't done it 2 games in a row all season. So that's also where I'm coming from. I take all this data into consideration, but I do like Woods Richardson. When I take a different side of a pitcher, it doesn't mean I don't like them, but I could definitely not like certain splits or certain matchups that they have against certain bats, hot bats. Those things fluctuate, and that's where you find these little edges.
Absolutely. And though we were talking about a little bit, I was mentioning how Miami's not like a huge K team, but just looking at the market here, If you're a Prize Picks user looking to create a lineup here, there is expected value showing from props.cash based on Pinnacle, which is their sharp book of choice for this calculation, minus 189. But even if you are a FanDuel truther for K props, or even a DraftKings truther for K props, that's still expected value at the 3.5 minus 137. So Woods Richardson over strikeouts, though, like matchup wise, might not be as enticing. Pricing rules everything in sports betting. So if you are a Prize Picks user, there is expected value on the Woods Richardson over 3.5 Ks. That looks like a great square to include in your prize pick today. Let's keep chugging here. We'll go to New York versus Toronto. We're going to skip over again some of these game twos, even though this game two in Detroit is a much more enticing one with Flaherty Gore. I hadn't done too much of a deep dive on Flaherty Gore for this matchup, so I'm not going to, try to just put some things together. But Toronto, New York. We got Will Warren, Jose Barrios. Will Warren, of course, has been a very good strikeout pitcher this year. He's been a very great revelation for this Yankees pitching staff that has been very good, though, of course, the Yanks are in the midst of a free fall. Barrios can absolutely be food at times, as you can see by his K numbers here. His earned runs, you can see he gets some games where he gets absolutely shelled, some games where he pitches well. Jake, do you have any thoughts, again, put the Yankee fan into the mix, or you can keep it out of the mix? What are your thoughts on this matchup between Barrios and Warren in Toronto tonight?
Yeah, I pretty much stayed away, but just my thoughts in general is like the Yankees just don't frickin' frack well at all. Like the bats don't work, and then the pitching will be there, but they can't score, so they don't win. And then they'll start hitting the ball, but give up 12 runs. So it's like, it's just not fricking and fracking well. Now, the bright side, they're still in first place. This is a huge game for them. Toronto's one game back, so this is just a huge series in general. Tampa's knocking at the door. If we can get through this little slump of not playing well or fricking and fracking terribly, I mean, we can use a Garrett Cole back or a Louis Hill or some of these guys that like we have been, key points to our success in the previous seasons. But that's not the case. The only thing I'll say about Will Warren is I stayed away because he's not good away. He's struggled in away games. He allows a 265 opponent batting average. On the flip side, he's good at pitching at night, so that split is on his side, and he's really good versus righties. And Toronto has, I believe, 6 confirmed righties in their lineup, so I could see him having success there. Toronto bats have been good pretty consistently over the last 30 days. And then, you mentioned Jose Barrios. He's pretty good at home and at night too. So these are good splits for him versus the Yankees lineup that hasn't been hitting the ball too well over the last month. So I just stayed away. The splits are all over the place. Both of these bats are capable of doing crazy things. Like last night, not last night, but yesterday evening, they put up a big number. But who knows what's going to happen? You have 2 decent pitchers on the mound with good splits against bats that should be good, but they're not hitting well. So I just stayed away. But yeah, that's just my insight on the game, what I saw on the splits and why I didn't take anything here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is interesting just from a pricing perspective. I'm curious because Will Warren strikeouts is at 4.5. Now, if you've been paying attention to baseball at all this year, you're familiar with the fact that Toronto is a hard team to strike out. And if you're not familiar, look at the numbers right here. Very low percentages across the board. Just Davis Schneider with a little bit of an outlier there. Barger around league average, a little bit higher, but a lot of guys in this lineup that do not strike out a lot and are well below league average. But Warren, as we've seen, has an 11K game, though, of course, against the with-heavy Angels, a 6K game against Baltimore, who could be a strikeout-heavy team, against the Athletics, 7, a strikeout team. Casey's not a huge K team, so they only got 4 to go under that line. 2 against the Dodgers in a game he got absolutely shelled, but he's very consistent with the hit rate here. And now I've talked on the show many times about how hit rate is not the best indicator. Everything is kind of its own analysis and its own breakdown, as you can see here. On the right-hand side, Props.cash has an amazing feature that shows you how the team has performed against right-handed pitching. You have Buehler went under his line in that game. He couldn't do anything. Giolito went over at a plus 130 price. He had 5. Bayo couldn't do anything. Bybee went by him. Gavin Williams, nothing. So considering all these things, of course, all in pretty close succession, like these games were, just last week or as recently as a couple of days ago, this is a number. It's showing EV to Pinnacle, which is what Props.cash for strikeout props is using their source of truth. Now, that is something that, is debatable if who you want to use as your source of truth for EV calcs per market. Props.cash does a great job of splitting it per market. But with Penny as the source of truth here, I really like if you have a BOL account, the -108. But if you have MGM, which is of course more recreational and it's a regulated
Mainstream.
book, -110 at MGM, I think this is a good look. Now, again, I did highlight how Warren has struggled against like some higher K rate teams and on the road here. While his earned runs go up a little bit, Jake, look at these K numbers are pretty solid across the board as well. So, this is yes, the first time Warren is seeing this Toronto team. I think that he might have to go a little bit deep into this game, which if we go to his outs, it's not something he's done he's done it. They keep him on a pretty tight pitch count here, but he has had some games where he's exploded. Even in games like against, this is only away because I was going to say, in some of the games where he's pitched really well, he's going a little bit deeper into ball games. These are games where, he got hit around a little bit. They're trying to keep the rook, acclimated, but they've been letting him throw it a little bit longer in these games. And as long as he keeps the walks down, which has been a little bit of a problem at times, as you can see, a couple of 4-walk games, which is never great. I think Warren's strikeouts is a good look. He has that K stuff. And yes, it's a tough matchup. But again, if we're doing some expected value looks and looking at the market, which we should do, I like this -110 at MGM for Will Warren over K's.
Yeah. And I'll add that this is a four-game series, and the Yankees bullpen could probably use it, especially after a 12-run game yesterday. So, yeah, I could see them really pushing his pitch count here, which benefits that over and strikeouts.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep pushing here. This is a game we both have a play on. We're going to skip over Milwaukee, New York game 2. We're going to skip over Cincinnati at Boston, which I guess is a game 2, even though that game was technically
from
last
game
night.
2.5.
Game 2.5. But this is a game that we have something that we like on it. So we're going to talk a little bit more in detail here. We'll try to touch up as many games as possible in this next 40 minutes or so. But Jake, Cleveland against Chicago. Tanner Bybee going for the Guardians. Shada Imanaga going for the Cubs. I'll let you start off because I think I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the Cap. And shout out to Blake in chat, throwing some fire emoji. Shout out to Cap, our best boy with the yo-yo. Shout out to Cap. Appreciate you, brother. Also, guys, chat is open, so feel free to leave any thoughts, comments, questions in chat. Jake and I will get to those comments if you have some. But
nothing about the Yankees, though. That's it. The only thing you're not allowed to talk about in there.
No talking crap about the Yankees. We could show love to the Rays all day long if we want in chat. So
whatever, as long as the Yankees are left out of it. But yeah, I actually have a prop here, so I'm curious to see what this data says. I took Shada Imanaga under 16.5 outs. I got it at +105. Bet365 was offering that. I put 1 unit on there. This is his first game back from an injury. The under has nothing to do with if I think that he can go 17 plus outs. It's more of, I believe he's going to be on more of a restriction. He had a hamstring injury, so that's not something that you really want to mess around with or try to push. It's something that can easily get tweaked again. And the Chicago bullpen is very available, so it's not like they need him to go far into this game. I think that they keep his pitch count or anywhere from 60 to 75 pitches. And there's no reason to push it with him because they're going to see the worst bats in baseball right now. Like Cleveland can't hit the ball. I don't think that they're going to have an issue bringing some bullpen guys in to go a couple extra pitches to keep one of their aces, their ace, healthy for the long term. So totally not saying anything bad about Imanaga. I think he's a great pitcher. He's very capable of going 17 plus outs. I just think that he's going to be restricted with being back from an injury here with an available bullpen versus bats that suck. So that's my angle on it. What is this data showing here?
So looking at the outs market, so he pitched on the 26th against St. Louis. So he did get that rehab start per se in only 5 innings though, which is worth noting. But another thing worth noting here is pitch count. Of course, that's very correlated to total outs props. And as you can see, they shut him down. I'll zoom in a little bit here. 77 pitches against the Cardinals here in that first game back. Pre-injury, 84, 87. As you can see up top here, the average pitch count of only 85.4. So they're definitely already not having him have such a long leash in the first place. Not a guy who's going to be hit around a lot or walk anybody. He is to start the season, he's been a little sporadic, but like generally speaking, we'll go back to even last year. The most we're getting is a 3 walk game, and that's literally 2 borderline outlier performances for Imanaga. He's always living around the zone. So that's something that's very good for technically going over in these props. But if you pair that with the pitch count, which is actually down a tick from last year. But of course, you have, again, a little rehab start here, a very short outing in the first game of the season, which is natural for a lot of pitchers. But going back to outs, not a number that he has cleared. It's actually gone up to 17.5 at some books, but you're paying like much more juice. You got the 16.5 at plus 105, which is the best number on the plus 105. And there's probably more value on the plus 105 than laying like a minus 130, like absolutely, even though it's one out more. The price
That's exactly what I saw too, Eric. I saw that number when I was looking, and I was like, I'd rather not lay the minus 130 juice and take plus 105 with one less out. So that was available, but most had 16.5.
The price is what matters the most, right? So if the plus 105 is more valuable than 17.5, yes, it is one more out, but the pricing is the implied probability. So that makes it a better bet. So I see where you're coming from here for the Imanaga fade. Now, Jake, you did mention, though, that the bats for Cleveland are really doing so poorly. This is the last 15 games. Look at all of this red. But the pro for Cleveland, I guess I'm just going to play a little devil's advocate. Yes, Imanaga's not a walk guy, but they do have a relatively patient lineup overall. But you have some guys like, David Fry's a strikeout machine. Carlos Santana's been a strikeout machine. Hedges at the bottom. Rocchio looks like he's back in the mix here. But overall, some terrible numbers. Does that concern you in the sense that if Imanaga is cruising because these guys can't hit, it's going to be tough to get him out of the game because Cleveland's not going to do enough to get to him where he might just be kind of on cruise control a little bit?
Not really. I have a feeling they're going into this game with a premeditated inning restriction. Like, I think he's going to go 5, honestly. Whether he's at 75 pitches, whether he's at 65 pitches, whether he's, unless he has something special going, like a no-hitter or a perfect game, I don't see them extending him because there's no reason to do it. Like, why would you do it against bad bats in the middle of the season when he's still kind of fresh off of an injury? I just don't see the method to that. And then even this graphic right here, those are innings. Even when he was healthy, he went 17 innings twice.
Yeah,
this hit 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 6 starts that he had, and 5 of those 6 starts he was healthy. So even when he's healthy and doesn't have bullpen help, they're still keeping around that 15, 16, 17 out mark. So they have tons of bullpen help here. So it doesn't really scare me. I'm also okay with strikeouts, Eric. I'd rather them strike out and work a 2-2 count, 3-2 count versus swinging at the first, second pitch and putting it in play and hitting a ground out or a pop-up, So I'm okay with them striking out as long as he's throwing pitches and there's a couple counts that are worked. I know he doesn't walk a lot of guys, but I just really think that he's going to go 5 innings regardless. I think that and getting it at plus money is a steal.
Absolutely. So I definitely see where you're coming from there. I just had to do a little bit of a check. But on my side, I'm taking a different approach here. This game, if I'm not mistaken, is an ESPN game as well. So I don't know if they're juicing any balls for the public, for the national audience here. But I am on the Nerfy. I have the no-run first inning for the Guardians and for the Cubs. I know we just talked about Imanaga, so I'll keep my spiel on him pretty short. And right now, the Nerfy, the best price in market I'm seeing at rec books is DK minus 115 as well as Caesars. Definitely like that fill. I got it at minus 105 earlier today. So definitely seeing a little bit of value there. Definitely still do see a little bit of value though on minus 115, even though it's, very close to game time, but I do see a little bit of expected value there. This is a game also I want to just emphasize here. The total for this one is as low. Where did it go? The total here is 8, so very standard for baseball. But for all the things that we just talked about with Imanaga, just again, I know he's not going to walk guys, so that's a huge thing for a Nerfy. It's getting guys on for a free pass if you have a control kind of pitcher like an Imanaga. If they're going to have to get on by hitting the baseball, and Imanaga is a guy who, looking at his hits allowed, like he has 2 sevens, but generally keeps that down in the first place. Then again, we go back to this lineup here for the Guardians over the last 15, just like guys who are not getting on base really whatsoever, very low batting averages. not crazy high walk rates either. And again, Imanaga keeps those down. As we talked about on this show, and if you've been watching baseball all year, the Guardians are a higher strikeout team than the Guardians teams in the past. Like the past couple of years, they were a team where like no matter who was on the mound against them, you're betting the under for strikeouts. But in this situation, this year, we'll go back to the K's here just to point it out. They're getting diced. Like Michaelis had 5 Ks against them, even though he got shelled in that one. He didn't go on. They took him out pretty early, but still, even in the short amount of time he pitched, he had 5 Ks. And Miles Michaelis is not a K pitcher. Day before that, Sonny Gray shoved in that amazing game, 11 Ks. Even Gaussman up and down 6. Scherzer's lost his fastball. Webb, who's been a K demon, murdered that number. Verlander, who has, of course, in his old age, set back a little bit, went over that. Castillo's gone over that. So again, I'm not looking at the case for Imanaga because, like Jake mentioned, we can look at the numbers here. Props is projecting over. The line is 4.5. I'm not looking at K's because of Jake's handicap, as they might limit his pitch potential. But I would be shocked if Cleveland gets one across the board. Then on the flip side, you have Bybee going against the Cubs. Now the Cubs in the last 15 are, heating back up again to being more of that offense that we anticipate, and they do. Bybee is a little bit worse against left-handed bats, and you do have Happ to lead off that and left-handed in the order. Of course, Kyle Tucker. These are guys that get on base, but also, as you see with Happ, he is a strikeout kind of guy as well, and he's a little bit cold. Bybee, if you go to like walks as well, has a couple of wild games, but also a couple of very good control. So if Bybee is keeping it under control, I think he can limit Chicago for 3 innings, and we can get a quick 6 up, 6 down here in Chicago to start off this ESPN game. I'm on the Nerfy here.
Yeah, don't hate it.
Let's take a look at some home run odds because we're playing in Wrigley. So I always want to look at not just home runs, but some wind. Jake, I know you love your weather reports here. Looking like a warm night with a slight breeze left to right out in Wrigley tonight.
Yeah, left to right. So that's good for lefty batters as well. If you want to take that angle at like a Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, let's look at some of these odds right here. So we have Kyle Tucker's at 320 for a home run tonight. Tucker has been hot. We know he was murdering the Astros. Hitting some home runs last.
They're having nightmares about him still.
They're having nightmares. I mean,
Kyle Tucker.
They're the ones who traded him, man. I mean, they had to do what they thought they had to do, though. Of course, Kyle Tucker is an absolute stud. And looking at his home run location chart, the man is a pull demon from the left side, smashing some home runs there. Not Wrigley, of course. He's got a little bit of a indent here. Some friendly confines when the wind is, of course, blowing out there. Bybee, again, look at this numbers here. He's got a lot more home runs allowed against left-handed batters, a much higher home run rate there. Looking at odds, though, FanDuel best to market at 420 for Tucker. No EV for this one, so something I'd stay away from, though. There is some EV to FanDuel, but if you're a truther like I am a little bit, that FanDuel on some props might be a little bit sharper.
Wait, did you say right to left, Eric, or left to right?
Left to right.
Okay, left to right. Yeah, okay, cool.
Left to right there. J-Ram as well with some pretty short odds. Imanaga, this is the splits for Imanaga against right-handed batters, which Jose will be batting righty as a switch hitter against the lefty Imanaga. So that's worth noting, as Ramirez against left-handed pitchers, only 2 home runs, so maybe a tougher matchup. I don't know if Jose should be this low of a 340 for a home run tonight, honestly. Yeah,
well, also one of the downsides of Imanaga keeping things around the strike zone is he's keeping things around the strike zone. Like guys are going to be able to swing, and if there's wind going out in their favor, better chance of hitting one over. You got to make contact first, and it's got to be in the strike zone to make better contact.
Absolutely. So that's definitely a good point there, though. Of course, Jose, it's been a little bit slumping last 15, batting just 208. Isolated power way down, only 1 home run. So that is a good one indeed. So that is definitely worth checking out as well. Or worth fading, I should say, for Jose. That's not something that I would look at, but look at these numbers. Again, if we get to Chicago's 10, they're definitely beatable, but not something worth going around as well. But Jake, let's keep chugging here. I know you have a couple more plays. We have a couple more games you want to talk.
Yeah.
We're going to Baltimore versus Texas here. Let's take a look at the pitching matchup first. Nasty Nate Eovaldi making his second start back after a tough one against Seattle. Then you got Sugano going for Baltimore. From a game line perspective, the Orioles are plus 140 is the best price in the market. And the total is really sitting 8. Looks like a lot of let's look at some of the movement here on what has gone on in the market. It's opened at 8 juice to the over, but has kind of come down to a little bit of like less juice to the over for this one. But where is your look for this one, Jake?
I don't think there's going to be many runs, Eric. I took the first 5 under 4.5. I got it at minus 105, so another short price. You can get that on Caesars. And I actually think this is a good spot for Sugano to have a pretty good day. He's coming off of some bad starts versus the Rays and the Yankees, so take that with a grain of salt. But these Texas bats are not on that level, honestly. And he's much better away and at night split-wise. I don't think he's been having the season everyone thought that he would, but like I just said, these splits are in his favor. He's better away, better at night. And I like backing a pitcher with potential in his first outing versus bad bats. So this is his first time pitching against Baltimore. And I don't like saying Baltimore has bad bats, but like they kind of do, like they can't go on these little spurts of like a seven days of being decent and then go back down to the bottom third. So right now they're categorized as bad bats to me on the season. Then on the other side, Eovaldi is pitching for Texas, and he just came back from the IL with a shaky start versus Seattle, but he has been amazing before that. So yeah, that stinks that he had that bad start versus Seattle bats that have been very good. Now he's going to see Baltimore. And even though Baltimore, like I just said, I wrote my notes down wrong. Obviously, I was referring to Texas before, Texas bats. But even though Baltimore has been a little successful in the last week, I think Eovaldi does pitch very well. And the fact that he had a shaky first start back mixed with these Baltimore bats being somewhat decent in the last week, I think that's why we're getting this number at 4.5. I really think it should be closer to 4. And to get it at 4.5 at a short price, I think that it's too good to pass up for me. I don't believe in these Baltimore bats. On the flip side, I don't think Eovaldi's going to like plummet right now. I think it's a great bounce back spot for him. He's been great all season minus this recent start. So I'm on the first 5 under 4.5.
Yeah. So this is something that's very interesting to me because I feel like, and we've talked about this many times on the show, and at this point, of course, it's July 2nd. Lines are going to be sharp. MLB is the focus. I feel like it'd be a little bit this one would be a head scratcher, right? You see only 8. Sugano can get hit hard. Eovaldi is coming off a tough start, also coming off, an injury where in that last start, he only threw 45 pitches against Seattle there. So could be a situation where you'd expect more bullpen. You'd expect Texas, who has been heating up a little bit, though. Of course, their lineup has been just like so bad all year, and like this is the last 15. So like
I consider that heating up. I consider that a bloodbath.
Yeah, no, this is the bloodbath last 15, but the last like week or so they've been hitting a little bit better. But again, like these numbers are just ridiculous. Like this is way too much red, and this lineup is broken. They just sent down Josh Jung. They have Billy McKinney slotted in here. But the fact that the full game is 8 and the first 5 is 4.5, now that, especially at just minus 105, that's definitely intriguing. And I think it's something that like we've talked about where, in these situations where we're in this part of the season, like maybe if this was April, you'd be like, okay, like this line has to be off. These two guys aren't pitching well. Like this is definitely an over spot. But it's different when it's in July and the market's telling you like, wait a second, this could be a underlook, especially when the full game total dropped below where it was as well. So from a little bit of line movement as well. So
I think also because Texas's bullpen, Eric, is good. They have a top 5 bullpen. So that with Eovaldi on the mound, I don't think Baltimore sees much success. And again, I think it's also more of the fact that Baltimore's bats have been somewhat decent in the last couple of days. And we know that they're capable, but like I'm not bought into them yet.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. I mean, listen, like we've talked about this again on the show many times. Like the Orioles, like, yeah, they have the pieces. Yeah, they had like a little bit of a stretch a couple of weeks ago where like their numbers from like an expected standpoint looked great, even though they obviously were not converting to hits, wins, runs, etc. But it's at the point where it's, of course, still a long season left. We're not going to have the All-Star break, but like Baltimore's broken and they cannot kind of get things going. And the Rangers, again, Evaldi is an absolute stud when healthy, and obviously was not just on his A game in the situation against the Mariners. That's just is what it is. Did not go deep into that game. Was struggling with command, which is something that Evaldi don't see too often.
The thing with Baltimore is all these other teams that were like, oh, are they going to be like, are the Royals going to be the Royals of last year? Is Houston going to be Houston of last year? The thing is, they all have like something to pick them up. Either they have, like Houston, either has good bats, iffy pitching. Royals can't hit, but their bullpen is really good. Same thing. Baltimore, they can't hit, and their bullpen is bad, and their starting pitching is bad. They have nothing going for them right now.
Absolutely. And that's why the team with like a 90 win total is sitting like the bottom of that AL East and does not look like they're going to be going anywhere, unfortunately. And there's nothing's going to be able to save them, unfortunately. Checking in quickly on Philly, San Diego, currently in the bottom of the second, 1 out, running on first for Philly. So we're sweating that first 5 under 4.5 over there. We can sweat that. I'll keep you guys updated on how that's going over there. But no, Jake, I don't have any big thoughts, comments, concerns to fire back at you there. I think I understand where you're coming from. I think the market is also kind of telling us a little bit about this game as well. So let's keep on keeping on here. You have another play. I think this one is your favorite of the day, if I might add. But before we get to that one, do want to take a look at some other games quickly. We'll kind of do a little quick run through some of these other games. We're going to, again, skip some of these game twos. Boston doing a starter listed over there. Mini Miami we talked about, New York tour, LA, Atlanta, Kikuchi versus Dieter Fuentes. Jake, I feel like every time we've been on the show, we've had a little Dieter Fuentes action. Or maybe it was with Kyle last time. I know in games like this where you have 2 starts from a guy, probably not something that you love to look at. You rather, stay away from those kind of opportunities. But did anything catch your eye in this one?
Yeah, absolutely nothing. I'm down to dig into this data and for you to convince me otherwise, but this game screams ugly to me. So yeah, I just there was not, it wasn't even worth looking into.
Yeah, I totally feel. Looking at Kikuchi's K's though, 5.5 as at penny. The under showing some expected value at MyBookie, Rebet, and Bet Online based on penny as the source of truth on the under there. Kikuchi, I'm curious. Braves against lefties, their K rates, I mean, they're relatively high. Acuña is high, Olsen is high, Riley is high. Braves stacking a bunch of right-handed bats against the left-handed Kikuchi. Just general question for you, Jake. And this one is unquantifiable, so this is going to be just fully opinion, which is more than fine. I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the news today, but Schwellenbach, fractured elbow. He's likely to be shut down for the rest of the year. Chris Sale 2 days ago, they put him on the 60-day IL, probably shutting him down for the remainder of the season as the older veteran there. They probably don't want to have him play. And my question to you is, Jake, from like a psyche perspective, at this point in the season with Atlanta being so far back in the standings, at best, right, they could just be a team that's like playing spoiler to the Mets, Phillies, or maybe some other National League team trying to get some, at this point, they're behind Miami in the standings. But more so, I'm saying like at this point, all they could do is maybe like screw over like a Brewers team in September who needs a win to like make up some ground, and they could just steal a win because they're not playing for the playoffs. Do you think that at this point, because of those 2 injuries and because of how impactful it is and because of how bad a season it's been so far, that we could see Atlanta kind of like mail it in for a little bit?
Definitely. Another team that they had nothing really going for them in general, and then you lose 2 of your studs on the mound. Like, they haven't been hitting. They have injuries in their lineup. And again, they're in a division where the Mets, like, Washington's not terrible. They're just in a division where they're going to probably finish dead last in that division. I could see them selling and tanking it and just rebuilding a little bit. I think they tried to do that a little bit in the offseason, which probably hurts them, but injuries are one thing you can never take into account, man. And you see other teams like the Mets are pulling it together. Philly's going to be Philly. They're going to continue to be good. And then Miami, you got teams like Miami that are supposed to be bottom feeders in the division, and they're already above you. And that was when you had a full squad. I think it's the smart franchise move for them. If there's Braves fans out there, they probably still have hope that they're going to try to make moves and make something happen. But unless they find some young guys that pull it together for them on the mound, I don't think it's smart or wise for them to keep going. I think they're going to be a big bet against team for sure.
Atlanta 38-46, 11 games back in the East, behind Miami now by half a game. Still the Braves have a +8 run differential, which is just funny for a team that's at this point so far gone. But I tend to agree with you. I think that the Braves, especially heading into the All-Star break, could be a solid fade. Like the psyche in the clubhouse, of course, cannot be good like in the first place with all of the of course, injuries, all the just poor play in general. And then even guys like, again, like you have Ronald, who's just incredible, but Olsen, decent season so far. Riley has just been like still like, even though it's a good season overall, like it's not
under. Yeah, I'd say he's been that expectation was a little higher for him too.
Absolutely. Ozuna not putting together like the seasons he's been having, and Michael Harris, man. I can't think of many bigger disappointments than Michael Harris II, man. I really can't.
Yeah, well, that goes hand in hand with me saying some things just excuse me, just didn't work out for them. And if these guys are out for the season, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, it's one thing if they're going to come back in 2-3 months. And you can have something to play for, getting an ace back or two, or you could try to make some moves and get some other guys. But I think the cards that they're dealt right now, it's not looking too good, Eric.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I think the Braves, like you said, can be like a good fade, honestly, in the upcoming weeks, realistically, or week leading up to the All-Star break. Right now, they are -142 favorites against the Angels, even with Kikuchi, who's been good, man. He's been solid, I should say. At times.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say they're going to still be favorites against teams like probably Miami, against the Nationals, against the Angels, which Angels aren't great by any means, but you're going to give me +150, +140 against a broken Braves team. I mean, put it's worth a half a unit sometimes if the numbers are lining up, right? With a Kikuchi on the mound, if the Angels are going through one of those spritz of actually being able to hit the ball, it's like, all right, I'm going to take the Angels at +150 against a Braves team that is just overpriced because they're the Atlanta Braves,
I'm adding this one to my card. LA money line +122. I'm seeing at Caesars. We can track that. I'm adding this to my card.
Wow. Talked you right into it, huh? We both
talked
did.
Right into it. Yeah, we talked. This is a good collab. Like I'll take it. We don't have to call it a collab. I'll take the L on it if it goes. But no, I mean Kikuchi's been good. We look at some of these strikeout numbers from Atlanta against lefties recently. Luzardo went over. Suarez went over. Anderson flew over that number. They got to Peterson, but Peterson's not a huge K guy there. Even Austin Gomber. Again, this goes back a little bit because, of course, just not seeing a ton of left-handed pitching in general. But Kikuchi, we know, can have those big explosive kind of games. And I think that he can do enough to keep them in play. Because, again, if they're only laying up 3, I know this Angels bullpen isn't great. And but at this point, the Braves aren't good at anything. So I think if you're getting +122, I think the gap between LA and Atlanta, especially in this matchup of Fuentes and Kikuchi, should not be this far out. So the 122 at Caesars, I locked it in as a play. And hopefully you guys ride with me there. And another update back in Philly. Got out of it. Now it's top 3, 1 out. So we're still sweating that first 5 under. Let's keep it going, Christopher. And yeah,
Dylan. There you go. We were just talking about Baltimore and how, like, if they get a couple major injuries, they're in the same boat. Like, it's as the Braves, like nothing is going good for you. And then some of your studs get hurt. What are you playing for? You're literally playing for nothing.
Baltimore 37-48, -81 run differential in the year. We know pitching's been the problem, and if that doesn't sum it up right there, obviously the bats are a problem as well if you're -81. But that is no bueno. We'll go through another game or two quickly, but before we go through like our final game, KC, Seattle, Logan Gilbert, Noah Cameron on the money line here. You have Seattle big favorites -167, -170-ish. Kansas City +155, of course. Cameron's had some good starts. Seattle can be sporadic with the bats. Jake, did you take a look at this Gilbert Cameron matchup at all? Because part of me is, I know Kansas City is not a big strikeout team. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and you can just see by the numbers. Courtesy of Props.Cash, promo code BetSmart for 30% off your first month. But Jake, did you look at this one? Because I think this could be another, I should say we should see like a Logan Gilbert like back in his groove kind of situation tonight.
Dude, I did. I really, really wanted to get there. So I was looking at Logan Gilbert out, but it was at like 18.5 or 19.5. What is it at now?
Yeah. +125.
And I'm just like, oh, come on, man. I can't. I didn't have. I couldn't do that. But also, like Noah Cameron, I'm a big fan of Noah Cameron as well. On the other side, you have Seattle bats that are hitting the ball like no other. So I was looking at unders, but I like couldn't this game just flew over. I was on the over of this game yesterday, went over. So I just could not find anywhere. I was looking at props. I was looking at I just felt like there were so many spots that I liked, but on the other side, it was like totally countering what I liked, and I just could not come to anything. More than happy for you to convince me to take something here if you find something that you like, because I was so close to pulling trigger, but like I'm not laying 19 outs with Logan Gilbert against Kansas City again. Like even though they stink sometimes hitting the ball, they've been a little better, and I know that they're capable. So it's like that's just a big number. 17.5, I'd probably would have hammered it. 18.5, 19, I can't get there.
So from a props perspective, I don't have a ton here, though I do think I want to point this out here. Noah Cameron, I think is, I think we've seen it recently, but like scrolling over here, 6 hard hit balls, 3 barrels against the Dodgers, 1 barrel, 8 hard hit balls against the Padres. Only 3 against Oakland, which is pretty good, but still in a game where he only went 5, though he was racking up those pitches with strikeouts. Yankees 8 hard hit balls, St. Louis 8 hard hit balls, 8 from Cincinnati, and these are games where he pitched like really well from like a perspective. I think Noah Cameron is food. Honestly, I think that he's his good start to his MLB career is a little bit inflated. I would go as far as to say, I know the market's been a little bit back and forth. Seattle opened at -167, is now sitting back at -67, so it's been up and down from like some line movement perspective. But I think that the Mariners money line, like I think you should just lay the 167. I think it's a good price. Looking at some rec books or popular books, if you have a no vig, -162 is the best price I'm seeing. If you don't have no vig, Caesars -170. I think you can just lay it on the money line with Seattle. If you're a parlay kind of guy, then I think that Seattle would be like the parlay piece, if you want to call it that you push in there. I think Seattle with Gilbert back now, hopefully in better. I mean, like he was still in good form, only 5.1. Got hit around a little bit, allowed 4 earned against Texas, but that's a team that's obviously familiar with him. I've got some BVP here. Nothing worth noting. Of course, you have Bobby and Salvi with good numbers, but these small, tiny sample sizes are honestly meaningless. Gilbert can shove home in the hitter's ballpark. I like Seattle to just win this one outright.
Yeah, no, I can't go against that at all. That would be my lean too. But like going off of their last previous games too, Gilbert, Texas, I know that they're familiar with him, but it's still Texas. You're giving up 4 to Texas. Chicago, okay, it's the Cubs, but you give up 8 hits, 4 earned, and then Boston 2 earned runs off of 3 hits before they were like hitting the ball to the moon. And then I went and looked at Noah Cameron, and like, yeah, he let up similar numbers, but it was against the Dodgers, San Diego, the Yankees. So that's also, I forgot to mention that. I couldn't come to it. And then you have technically Kansas City has the better bullpen slightly. I just couldn't bring myself to doing anything. But maybe I'll throw Seattle in a parlay somewhere.
I feel you. And just going back to Gilbert, this Cubs game, I kind of throw entirely. That was a massive Wrigley wind game, if you remember that. In that 14-6.
I do not. It was a what?
A massive Wrigley wind game. The wind was like absolutely howling at 20 irons. Yeah, blowing out. That was a huge. That was a day. I think it was a daytime, but
okay. So
this was a wind game. we'll see
So
right now.
you got to weigh that one a little differently. I did not know that, but all I saw was the raw numbers, and I was like, oof. I mean, even though Kansas City's bats haven't been great, I mean, has Gilbert in the last couple of games? I don't know. So
no, very fair. But again, this is what we talk about all the time with baseball. You got to dive in a little bit deeper because, again, this was a day game, as we see Prospect Cash Filter. 20 total combined runs in that one. Still had the 6 Ks, still had 3 home runs because, again, that was a massive howling wind game. And as far as the Cameron goes, Jake, I see where you're coming from. I guess I'm going to I'll see what happens, man. If I lose a bet, I lose a bet. But
it's all good. That's life.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Cameron is not good. I think he just had a very serendipitous start to his season. He didn't do anything to me, man. This is what we got to do.
You got a family.
We gotta more opinions and whatnot. For me, I think Cameron is a beatable pitcher. Absolutely. I mean, Seattle can have their struggles, and I know, Yankees, Dodgers. But I'm more concerned again about some of the underlying metrics that didn't lead to runs. I think there are situations where Cameron is very, very beatable. So,
and in your defense, I mean, Seattle's bats are categorized with the Dodgers and the Yankees. So if that's how he's pitching to them, he could very well see how I'm talking myself in circles here. This is why I could not come to a play, because I like something, and then there's something that I don't like that counters that play. So yeah, that's why I'm not on anything, but maybe I'll dabble with the Seattle money line as a parlay leg or something.
Absolutely. Let's go to the final game we'll talk about. If we have time, maybe one more, but we got a pretty hard stop here at the top of the hour. But Jake, I think this is your favorite play of the game and of the day. Excuse me. We're going to Arizona. We have Arizona, San Francisco. Arizona with a massive win last night. Gallen pitched well. Birdsong did not. Merrill Kelly, Landon Roop. Kelly's been doing Merrill Kelly things this year, man. Just look at these numbers, bro. Like he's pitching well. Roop has been pretty good as well, especially now that he's been starting more frequently. He's a mixed pseudo reliever starter. Jake, talk to me about your favorite play in San Francisco with Arizona, and I think your favorite play of the day.
Favorite play of the day, guys. I'm taking the Nerfy. I got it at minus 120. Yep. So a pretty good price too. I was all over the over in this game yesterday too. I sniffed that out. But yeah, I'm on the Nerfy here. Really, both of these bats, they have not been good in the last 7 days. Arizona's 17th in batting average, and San Fran is 24th. And let's be real, the San Fran bats have sucked all season. We thought they were going to get Devers and that was going to change, and it absolutely did not. And then you have Landon Roop on the mound, who's been very good versus lefties, allowing only a 228 batting average. And Arizona at the time was expected to have they was expecting to have their first 4 batters come from the left side. So let me just double check really quick to confirm that.
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know if they're entirely confirmed because this is at this point confirmed.
Yeah. Paramo, Carte, Smith, Naylor. So their first 4 batters are all coming from the left side. Let me pull my notes back up here. And then we just talked about Kelly. He's been very, very impressive versus all batters. He's only allowing a 212 batting average to lefties, a 218 to righties. So just all around, been pitching very well. And this will be versus San Fran bats that, as I just mentioned, they kind of suck. So I'm confident that he can get through the first with no blood. I think the market is going to be heavy on, how the average bettor is going to think, oh, wow, this over just flew over yesterday. They're going to be hitting the ball again. I think it's going to be quite the opposite this time around. I know San Fran has a good bullpen, but Arizona does not. So I didn't want to test anything with a full game under. I was dabbling with the first 5, but I think why sweat for 5 innings when you could just do it for 1? Yeah. And like I just said, I like the beginning of the lineups and these matchups that these pitchers have in their splits. So no run first inning, minus 120. I put 1.8 units to win 1.5. I got that at MGM.
MGM. I'm going to do a quick check in the market here. For their, you got it at minus 120. That is still the best price. It's currently still available at BetMGM for anybody who wants to get in. It's minus 118 at Novig if you are a Novig user, though I don't know how much liquidity there is there. If you're a bigger bettor on that Nerfy, it might not be there for you. But that minus 120 is there at Caesars or MGM. So if you have access to a Caesars or MGM account, you can ride with Jake and sweat that Nerfy.
Ride with me, fellas. Ride with me. I'll also put out there. Actually, I'm not going to say it. Not going to jinx myself.
Not going to jinx yourself.
If you're in the Discord, you know what my Nerfy record has been in the last 10 plays. I'm not going to put a number out there. I'm not going to jinx it, but let's just say it's been profitable, fellas. It's been profitable.
And while we're talking Nerfy records and Nerfy records, Props.cash, of course, has an interface for Nerfy. Landon Group, 11-5 to the Nerfy this year, 7-3 when pitching on the road. Merrill Kelly overall 9-8, but 6-3 with the Nerfy at home. As you see the prices right here, these are the implied odds. You can take a look at some offensive stats to the Nerfy as well. The Giants on the road 33-11, that's 71% to the Nerfy, as well as 8 of their last 10 have gone no runs in the first inning. Now the Diamondbacks, of course, they're a team that they can get really
give up a lot. Yeah, they give up a lot of first inning runs usually.
They give up a lot of first inning runs, and they can, have a lot of guys at the top of that lineup that can just hit a solo jack, or they have that speed from that lineup. Let's take a look at this confirmed lineup one more time as well for the because now that we have Corbin Carroll on the IL with the wrist, when Corbin Carroll's in that leadoff spot, he's got absolute wheels, of course. So Carroll is somebody who can, turn a single into a triple, or just straight up hit a triple with the wheels that he has. Of course, a threat to hit a double at any point in time. But now that you lose that, as well as that like solo pop, I think that we'll see a little bit more. I should say a little bit less offense. Of course, they went off last night, but without Corbin Carroll and what he can do from, again, a long ball standpoint, but also from a base running standpoint,
RBI standpoint too.
Yeah,
it's one less bat that's going to drive runs in for you. Those doubles that you're talking about, they're usually driving in runs. That's not in the lineup anymore. So,
and BVP, of course, not massive. Roop, just because they are in the same division. I am curious. Again, nothing too crazy. I'm not bro. You didn't look at Geraldo Perdomo, bro. He's 1 for 2, bro. Come on, like what's going on?
He's hot. He's hit a home run in the first inning.
And just out of curiosity, because they are division rivals, and when they're division games, I like to look a little bit more, especially when they've had a little bit more. Again, none of these sample sizes are too meaningful, but Willy Adames, man, he went long the other day. Finally, he went up, bro. So is this 364 scaring you away, bro?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's look at his numbers on the season.
Let's pull them up.
Let's do it.
209 on the season.
Actually, now I'm scared.
363 BA BP. So
that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Now I think I'm gonna cash out my bet.
Rothie only Robbie with 17 home runs, but last 15 for Rothie. Just 2 of those long balls. Not the long ball is not in the Giants' repertoire, as we know as a team, and also because they play, of course, in a hard home run park at Oracle. They haven't had a 30 home run hitter over the course of the season in a long time. So keep the long ball down for Merrill Kelly. That would be massive. And I want to see actually here too, if we can look at some earned runs. Battle rates are very low for Merrill Kelly. Outs as well. Fly balls, 6 against Miami, but generally only 4 fly balls. And of course, to hit a home run, you got to put the ball in the air, which is why I'm, looking at some fly ball metrics, which is always something I do like to look at, because that's also something I incorporate in my home run handicaps. Of course, you have the wind, the BVP, the odds, but something I'm also curious about is if the player does generally lift the ball / does the pitcher allow balls in the air. Merrill Kelly, not so much. Let's look at Landon Group. 3.8 in much less pitching, 84 total pitches, generally like lower innings though, because as we can see, he has some games where he did come into relief, long relief, I should say, though, so that kind of changes things, but a little bit higher of a fly ball rate. But Jake, I'm rooting for you, of course, on this Nerfy in the desert tonight.
I'm rooting
but that's going to wrap it up here. That's everything we have. So to go through Jake's plays, we have Miami. First 5 Miami line, which is underway. So maybe if you find a live spot, they're down 1-0.
Yeah, I know.
Down 1-0, but so much ball game left.
Only the first.
So you guys can get in at a better price. Imanaga under 16.5 pitcher outs. The 17.5 is available, but the plus 105 is a better line for 16.5 outs. So even though it is one stat lower, it's still worth looking at. And in that game, I am on the Nerfy in Chicago and Cleveland. Baltimore, Texas, first 5 under 4.5. You guys have time to lock that one in if you guys are tailing Jake and liked his breakdown on that. And then, of course, here, San Francisco, Arizona, Nerfy, we just talked about. And for me, the other play that I'm on is probably not going to be able to get that line, unfortunately, anymore because we're in the 4th inning, but it is 1-0 now, San Diego. I'm on the under first 5 money line. The first 5 under 4.5 there. And then I also locked in Angels money line live on stream. You guys have more than enough time. Actually, it starts in 15 minutes. So if you guys didn't hear that, hop in on that one and tail with me. But Jake, that's going to wrap it up for today. Any final thoughts, words, comments, concerns for the viewers that we appreciate so much?
No, thanks for tuning in. Of course, this is fun every single Wednesday. I can't wait for next Wednesday already. And I think we've been pretty profitable on this show too, Eric. If mistaken me, I think we broke even last week. Week before that, we profited. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been profitable. Hopefully, everyone takes a lot from the data that we provide and hearing our breakdowns and add it to your arsenal. One day you'll grow your wings and be able to find your own plays and in your own little strategies as well. So thanks for tuning in. It's always fun, Eric.
Always fun. And the best place to start is always on Prop.Cash. And if you want access to all this amazing data that is totally customizable, advanced metrics all in one spot, you also have advanced stats too, which is my favorite part. We're not just looking at like batting averages. We have weighted runs created plus, ground ball and line drive rates, strikeout percentages, walks, hits, innings pitched. You have line shopping across many, many books and DFS sites. Alternate lines as well. I'll pull up the case so you can see. Shows you the hit rate and the best odds in market. Analysis on pitch mixes. You have historical lines, which is one of my favorite features. You can see how other similar pitchers, whether it be from left-hand side or right-hand side, have done against the teams as well. And then you have projections, and then pair that with, again, advanced data here, batter versus pitcher against right-handed pitching or left-handed pitching, last 30, last 15, full season. And again, we're not looking at service level stats here. You have batting average of balls in play, isolated power, weighted on base average, and then some granular stats there to make your decision. So thank you guys for tuning in. Promo code BetSmart, 30% off your first month of Props.Cash. BetSmart.co for all of your sports betting tool needs. Appreciate you guys. I'll be live tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow if you guys tune in. And then Jake and I will be back on Wednesday. So stream tomorrow, stream with Jake Wednesday. I'll see you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and let's cash some bets.
Later.